Contract work isn't just a setback. It might be your exit strategy. So, when you think about different options, we're going to talk about contract work and how it might be an option for you. This is actually a requested topic because when you think about going out in the job market, you might only be thinking about a full time job. So, we're going to talk about contract work and how this might be a realistic option for you. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kimani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and I've been licensed for over 20 years. I'm also a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. I am the co-founder with Marissa Price of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. We are having the third annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women happening May 1st through the 3rd. So at the summit, this is for Black women who are either in toxic jobs or who've been pushed out of the labor market. So if any of these apply to you, the summit is for you. You will be learning how to replace your income, whether this is pivoting to another job or starting your own business. You'll also learn about options for replacing your benefits, your health insurance, and your retirement, and creating multiple streams of income. So again, that's May 1st to the 3rd. It is virtual. As a privacy consideration, no summit attendees will be seen on camera. You also have the option of attending anonymously. Only summit speakers will be seen on camera. Information about registration is going across the screen. It's also in the description section of this video, okay? So you can get your ticket before you forget, okay? So again, May 1st through the 3rd. And so excited that today we have one of our summit speakers here with us today. We have Celeste here with us today. So Celeste, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you, Dr. Kimani, for having me on today, for having me at the summit. I'm very, very excited. I am a YouTuber. I am a lifestyle designer and experimenter, and I am a contract job strategist. And so what that means is I have figured out a way to earn stable income and still design my life the way that I want it, which includes taking regular career breaks, having a maximum 40-hour work week, not taking work home with me, not making it the center of my identity. So that's what I hope to talk about more today.
Those all sound phenomenal to me. Okay. So Celeste, can you share with the audience, how did you get into contract work? Because we might have heard about contract work here and there, but I think we have misconceptions about it. So how did you even get into contract work?
Yeah, so I'm sure we're going to talk about more misconceptions as we go on, but I want to just make it clear up front that when I am talking about contract work, I am talking about a W-2 contract job situation through a staffing agency or direct with a company. So I'm not talking about like 1099 or
Oh,
freelancing or those types of
okay.
things.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the way that I got into it is that in my 20s, I was looking to make a career change. I had been working in corporate and it was fine, but I had this misguided notion about like, I want to find meaning through my work, which I think, a lot of Black women have. And so I decided I wanted to pursue working at a nonprofit, but I didn't have any experience in that sector at all. And so I kept trying to get in and no one was interested. And I was like, well, how, they kept telling me you don't have any experience. And I was like, well, how do I go get experience? And so I don't even know how I originally like got the idea, but I went to a staffing agency and said like, hey, do you place people at nonprofits? I'm looking for something long-term where I can kind of build up some experience that I can then take out into the marketplace and put on my resume and say, here, now I have some experience. So that's how I first found it. And that did work. And it did get me a full-time nonprofit job, which I quit after a month because it was terrible. Which is another story.
You asked me to want it, but then you were like, this is not really what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Okay.
And I think that's important, like being able to pivot when you see
Absolutely.
something's not working for
Especially if
you.
it's toxic. Yeah.
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 Which unfortunately a lot of them are. A lot of the ones I contracted at were not great either. So that should have been a clue. But anyway, But since then, like since I knew about it, I used it for a lot of different things throughout my life. Like I used it to like I wanted to leave a toxic job and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I know I got to get the heck up out of here. I've used it to um turn a contract job into a full-time job.
Okay.
I used it to supplement business income when I was doing some consulting and the work was kind of slowing down. I've used it for a lot of different reasons. And now I just use it, like I said, to just support my lifestyle. That's what I do. That's what I do now.
Okay. Okay. So I was just taking some notes, right? Because
Hmm.
I saw a comment in the chat. I'm curious about the exit strategy idea and the title. So what I heard you say was you have been able to use contract work to pivot from toxic jobs, right?
Hmm.
You've also been able to use contract work to pivot to full-time jobs, to
Hmm.
supplement your income, and then to actually create the life that you have now. So it's
Yep.
been able to create exit strategies in different ways.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, okay. And then I would like for you, if you can distinguish between the different types of contract work that you said. So you said that you do contract work through a staffing agency as
Hmm.
opposed to the other type of contract work. So can you distinguish?
Hmm.
Because I think people might get confused.
Yeah, so contractor, can mean different things. Some people instantly think of like the 1099
Mhm,
contractor, which
mhm,
is more of
mhm.
like a self-employed
You're
situation
totally on
where
your own.
yeah, where you
Right.
go and like, you pursue clients and
Mhm,
sign a contract saying you'll deliver X deliverable on what date or whatever, and you do the work independently, um, on your own.
mhm,
Um, when you work through a staffing agency, um, they will place you at a client and you are working usually the same job that the full-time folks are doing. You're usually doing like
mhm,
a similar job function. It's just the administrative back end is different. But you are on that team or in that
mhm,
role or on that project for
mhm,
the duration of that contract. So 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever the duration is.
mhm.
You're usually working a 40-hour work week, though there are part-time contract jobs. I've done that before as well. Um, but yeah, it's probably not much different than like your work structure now, except with
Mhm.
like boundaries and guardrails and less toxicity and all of that stuff. So
Okay,
yeah, you're an employee of the staffing agency.
got
There,
it.
you can also actually, I'm doing this right now. You can
Mhm,
actually you can go directly to the employer and find a contract job, and they may send you to an agency to do the paperwork, but the process of actually identifying and finding the job you can do directly. So this is the first time I've ever actually done that, just like use my
mhm.
network to get an interview directly with the company, and they said, okay, you're hired, now go over here and fill out the paperwork because they're going to do your payroll.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And can you give people tips about how to really vet these staffing companies? Because I'm wondering if there's some predatory ones out here and, how do you know if they're legit? So, what are some tips you have for vetting these staffing and temp agencies are that's the same as a staffing agency?
So yeah, that's another, I think people think of contracting as temping, um, because there's an agency involved, but it's
Mhm.
not quite the same thing. It's not like
Hmm.
somebody's like, oh, we need an administrative assistant this week, go over here, and then next
Mhm.
week go over here. Like it's not like
Okay.
that. You're
Okay.
at the
Okay.
client and that's where you are for the duration of the contract.
Hmm.
Um, as far as vetting an agency, I mean, I think the larger agencies will have a presence, right? They're going to have a LinkedIn profile. They're going to have recommendations from people who worked with them. The
Mhm.
recruiter, the individual recruiter on LinkedIn who works for that agency, they're going to have connections and recommendations
Mhm.
and all of that.
Mhm.
So there are definitely like ways to sort of assess the reputation.
Mhm.
You can also go to Glassdoor.
Mhm.
I've seen reviews for agencies on Yelp, uh, which I was like, I never would have thought of reviewing an agency
Mhm.
here, but I guess it's a business, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so Reddit is another good source.
Mhm.
You're going to have to go through the process of like identifying the agencies for your industry first. But like once you
Okay.
have that short list, do
Mhm.
your Googles and, vet
Do your
on
research.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's
What would
how
be
it
some
works.
red flags for, like, staffing agency? And I love that I love that you were distinguishing between a temp agency and a staffing agency, 'cause I thought it was the same thing.
Well, it might be the same organization, but you're
Uh-huh.
just not going to be a temp. You're going
Right,
to, you are going to be doing a different thing than
right.
somebody who's being farmed out to different places.
Got it.
Um, so, and you'll notice like, and that will be clear like in the job
Mhm,
description or whatever, right?
mhm,
It'll be clear that you're going to be 8 months at a
mhm,
large healthcare client or whatever,
mhm,
right? So
mhm,
it could be the same agency though that places administrative assistants, but that's not you.
mhm. Right.
um i think see, I've been in the game for a while, so I kind of know like that agency tends to always pay lower rates than this other
Mm,
agency. But
mm,
you can definitely shop around.
mhm,
A lot of times these agencies are competing against each other, and so you might
mhm.
see the same job posted by different agencies at different rates. So you
Oh,
can definitely like, you'll notice like, oh yeah, why are you $8 an hour less
oh,
than the same job over here, right?
okay.
And then, you also want to look for the things that are important to you. Like if it's important to you that they offer a 401k, if it's important to you that they offer healthcare benefits and all of that kind of stuff. Not all of them do, but a lot of them do.
Hmm,
So that's I mean, that's sort of just like trying to figure out the best situation for you. In terms of
mhm,
like identifying a bad agency,
mhm,
that is more of if you Google and you find a lot of complaints like, oh, they were
mhm,
terrible, they,
mhm,
misled me, things like that.
mhm,
I think the
mhm,
things that make an agency, it's hard to say that the whole agency bad. Sometimes it's just like the individual person. But the things
mhm,
that would make them bad to
mhm,
me would
mhm.
be misleading me, like telling me something has a potential to become full time when good and well they never convert anybody, stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay.
um being hard to reach, if I need you, like being unresponsive, which is hard to know
Mhm,
ahead of time that that person's going to
mhm,
be unresponsive. I'm just saying that's one of the things. But
mhm,
you can tell if they're responsive to you when you're
mhm.
emailing them, going through the process, and you're asking them questions. If they act like they're annoyed that you're asking them, about the benefits, or you ask them about the client, then they
That's
probably don't care about you. They just want to fill the role and get paid off
right,
of you. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right.
yeah, it's more the person than the organization. I
Okay.
would say though, I think you're going to have a better chance at getting, more better benefits with a bigger organization. A bigger
Mhm,
organization is just going to have more experience,
mhm,
and be just, maybe less like amateurish, and
mm,
less sort of beholden to one client.
right.
So they are more likely to sort of advocate for you a little bit better,
Mhm.
as opposed to just kind of like kowtowing to whatever the client says.
Got it, got it, got it. And you talked about, like, being in, like, that nonprofit, you were like, "This is not the place for me." So, with contract jobs, do you have a little bit more flexibility with leaving contract jobs than if you're, like, in a full-time job? Is it a little bit more flexible with that?
Well, I mean, the expectation is that you would stay for the duration of your contract. So
Mhm.
if you're uncertain about a situation or you want to feel it out, you might want to go for shorter contracts than, as opposed to longer ones.
Mhm.
But that said, like if you're on a contract and you're being mistreated, or
Mhm.
it's toxic, or there's an incident or whatever,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's absolutely within your right to like raise that with the agency, right? That's where they're
Mhm.
supposed to step in and help
Mhm.
mitigate, issues.
Mhm.
But if they don't do that to your satisfaction, then, I would walk away. Um,
Right.
but like again, usually usually um it is something that can be resolved, between the parties, and usually the expectation is that you would fulfill the contract, right?
Duration,
Because you
yeah.
want to keep a good relationship with that agency so they can send you, to the next place when you're ready, and they can be
Right.
looking out for you and sending you like the best jobs as they come in and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. So when you start, they often tell you if there's a likelihood of this converting to a full-time position.
well, it depends. Sometimes they'll say, in the job description, possibility of extension or possibility
Okay.
of, becoming full-time. Or when you talk to them, they may say, like, sometimes some organizations do just have contractors come in for a period of time and then that's
Mhm.
it. And then
Mhm.
others use that as sort of use contractors as like a pipeline
Hmm.
for testing out, like, full-time employees, right? So it's like,
Okay.
come work here for a year. If it
Mhm.
works out, we'll convert you. But those things are usually known up front. Like, if,
Mm.
it's not a guarantee, but those
Right.
conversations, you can find that out up front if that's something that you're interested in.
Got it. So what are some of the because it seems that, well, let me just say, Dr. O is here. Hey, Dr. O. She actually requested that we have this topic because she was saying that sometimes when Black women might get a job offer and it's a contract job offer, there's been like, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want a contract job. I wanted a full-time job. So there's
Hmm.
some disappointment about that. So can you speak a little bit more about why some Black women, in the job market might feel a sense of disappointment when they're offered a contract position over a full-time position?
Well, I think that that's what we're socialized to go for, right? That's what we've been training for our whole lives and getting the
Mhm,
degrees for and all of that. And so I definitely
mhm,
think there is some level of like, I did all of this work to get to the certain place.
mhm.
Um, I think the more that our sort of self-identity is tied to our titles and where we
Right,
are on the hierarchy, then there might
mhm.
be, I'm not saying this is how this person feels. I'm just saying that
Right.
these are some of the things that I had to come to terms with when I was like, oh, I'm not on the ladder anymore. How do I feel
Mhm,
about that? And, so I think those are, real concerns. I also think there's probably the bigger concern is probably the stability and the like, oh, a contract job isn't as stable. Um, I have these bills to pay. And I think to that, I would say I don't think full-time jobs are stable. I don't, I
clearly
don't
not.
think they're
Clearly
yeah,
not now. Ooh, no.
yeah, I don't find any security in those at all. But I was just say, like, as I was describing the contract process, like, it's not temping. You're not like constantly moving around. For example,
Mhm,
I'm coming
mhm.
up on my 1 year anniversary at the client that I'm at now. It
Hmm,
was supposed to be a 7-month contract that ended in December
hmm,
last year, but they've
mhm.
extended me twice.
Oh,
Um, I kinda like knowing when the end date is coming because it helps me to sort of plan and budget around it.
okay.
But I in no way do I feel like I'm unstable or I don't know where when the next paycheck is coming or anything like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
So yeah, I just think, if we don't so that addresses sort of the stability piece. And then as
Mhm.
far as like how it looks to other people, I think if we worry more about like what we need and want, and I think if we can get more transactional about the fact that like we just exchange labor for money, that's it. Like a job doesn't need to provide any more for us than that.
Right.
So that's
Right.
kind of how I think about it.
Right, right, right. And you talked about that this extended even further than you thought it was going to extend in terms of the
Mhm.
time period. Now, how far out do you know that it's going to extend? So it was supposed to end in December. So when did they let you know it was going to extend?
Yeah, it depends on the client. This one, the first extension, they told me maybe it was, I think they told me in early December. So that was like
Mm,
later than I wanted to
wow.
know. Like I wanted more notice than that.
Mhm,
I'm at a like large tech company. Like it
mhm,
depends, on the
mhm,
bureaucracy and when they get approval
mhm,
on things like that. But
mhm.
then there's been situations in the past where I've known, 6 weeks or 2 months ahead of time.
Okay,
But then
okay.
there was a situation where the day before it was my last day, they asked me to stay because they got word that my teammate was going out on medical leave for 3 months. So,
Mm.
you know,
You got to be flexible.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
and I could have said, deuces, but I was like, all
Mhm,
right, you gonna pay me
mhm.
some more money?
Mhm.
I can still take a break, and I'll just take a break in September instead of
Okay.
in June. Like, it's fine.
Okay. Okay. So the staffing, are you at one staffing agency? Are you at multiple staffing agencies? Like how, I'm trying to figure out like how to position it. So like
Mhm.
if a Black woman is at one staffing agency, that one job ends, is it the likelihood that she's going to get staffed on something else? Or is it wise to be at multiple staffing agencies
I
simultaneously?
would say, okay, so you're an employee of the staffing agency for the duration of that contract, right? And then you're a free agent to look
Okay.
for a job anywhere at any agency. You
Okay.
can you can look, you can engage multiple agencies. Like, it doesn't have to be like a one at a time thing. You don't belong to the agency that gave you your last, placed you at your last client or anything like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, did that answer the question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
you just have to be more strategic in terms of planning out, okay, this job is anticipated to end on this date. So if I don't get an extension, I need to figure out, is this agency going to line me up with something else? And if
Mhm.
not, what are my other staffing agency options?
Yeah, which I mean, and that's very similar to like if if you're trying to leave a job, you're like,
Mhm,
okay, I'm hoping to be in a new job 3 months from now. When do I
mhm,
start the process and,
mhm.
backdate it? So yeah, it's similar in that respect.
Okay. And what has been your experience, Celeste, with when one contract ends, or the term of a contract ends, and then how soon after do you generally get another one? Generally.
Well, I'm weird because I take breaks in between on
Okay.
purpose. Yeah, so
Okay.
I now like I did all these other things with contract jobs, but now I use it to like, I'm like, how do I work 7 months out of the year and take the rest out? Like, that's what I do now. So I'm not necessarily like urgently looking for something when a contract ends.
Got it.
Um, I'm trying to think. But yeah, I mean, generally I would just say like start asking 6 weeks out, hey, I would ask the agency, like, hey, have you heard anything about an extension?
Okay.
What's the likelihood? You could ask your manager at the client,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're winding down. Do you
Mhm.
have any visibility? Do you anticipate keeping me on?
Mhm.
Yeah. So near the end, I would start having those conversations, but give yourself enough buffer. I
Mhm.
think I would just say in general though,
Mhm.
the job search process is much shorter
Mhm.
um, for contract jobs than full-time jobs
Mhm.
because usually the reasons that the need arises for a contractor is like, oh, this project came up and we don't have the head count right now, but we still have to get it done.
It's more of an immediate
Or
need.
someone left unexpectedly,
Mhm.
someone went on leave, those kinds of
Mhm.
things. So like they
Mhm.
don't have time for like a 2-month process to like
Right.
bring somebody
Right.
on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was thinking about something because I heard you say that your mindset used to be, "Oh, I did want a full-time job too," but you had to like address that mindset issue to embrace full-time work. So, I mean, sorry, contract work. And
Hmm.
I'm just curious if you can share with the audience, how did you come to address that mindset shift? Because I want to encourage Black women
Hmm.
to really interrogate their thoughts and maybe consider a different way of seeing work, right? So, not centering work as identity, and
Hmm.
also maybe thinking about other options to make money. So, how did you get to the point of saying, you know what, it's okay if I don't have a full time job, I'm still making money? How did you get to that point, and then what was that process of you saying that to yourself and being okay with that?
Well, I mean, I've been a contractor for 10 years now.
Wow.
Um, but it's only been maybe 3 years since I was okay with that status as opposed to, like, striving for full-time status.
Wow,
Um
Celeste.
Mhm.
Wow. So
Yeah, I was at
7 years, it's been some stress.
Say that again?
So for 7 years, it's been still striving for full-time status.
Yeah, so I was at a place for a long time, one of those places that kinda just uses contractors as their regular
Mhm,
workforce,
mhm,
permanently.
mhm,
Um And I was doing all the things. I was in the affinity groups. I was going to all that optional stuff, that above and beyond stuff, the happy hours, the like I was doing it all. The networking, like I was on it. And because I was like, I'm hoping that this, turns into something. Um, it did dawn on me, and I actually did have someone kind of tell me, like, yeah, they really don't convert people here. And then I was like, okay, good to know.
Mm.
Um, so I put that in perspective, and I was like,
Okay.
okay. And the place was also toxic. So I was like,
Oh,
I got to a point where I was just trying to leave. So
okay.
I forgot about the full-time thing because I was trying to get out of there.
Got it.
But then at the next place, I was like, okay, same thing. I'm joining all the groups. I'm doing all the affinity groups, the Black this, the women that. I'm gonna, network. I'm hoping that by the time, my I forgot what the term of the original contract was, a year or whatever it was. It's like by the
Mhm.
time it's up, I'm hoping that I'll be in a great place.
Mhm.
And then before my time was up, funny story, I got laid off as a contractor, which is
Wow.
not super common in
Oh,
my experience, but it can
oh,
happen.
oh.
Because this is in tech, they were just doing these mass layoffs. They
Hmm.
reorganized and cut my whole like group.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like me specifically being targeted. I
Mhm.
was just like
Mhm.
my group was gone.
Mhm.
Um, and I found myself frantically applying for full-time jobs. I was looking for
Mhm.
contract stuff too, but like
Mhm.
frantically applying, like, oh my God, I gotta find something.
Mhm.
And then a month went by and nothing, I was doing all these interviews and putting presentations together, whatever.
Mhm.
Didn't find anything. Then I said, well, why don't I just pause? So
Mhm.
that's the first step. I think you gotta
Mhm.
pause and say, what am
Uh-huh.
I doing?
Mhm. Like, why
Um,
is this not working?
yeah.
Why is this not working? Yeah, uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah. And why do I keep trying to do the same thing if I can
Uh-huh.
see that it's not working?
Mhm.
And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And I looked at my bank account and I was like, all right. Let me just explore some hobbies and all that stuff I bookmarked and said I was gonna go back and watch on Instagram and YouTube. Let me go do that. I did
Okay.
that. And then I found Miss Stephanie Perry and Miss
Okay.
Rashida Dow,
Okay.
who were like, stop applying for jobs. You have enough money. You don't need to work right now. And I was like, I don't need to work right now. And so, anyway, long story short, so I took this like amazing sabbatical. I went home and saw like my family for a month, like bought a one-way ticket and was like,
Oh.
I'm just here for however long. I don't know. Came back here home. I'm in the DC area.
Mhm.
Um, had an interview with that same client who laid me off, got a job offer from them to go back. And then they were like, okay, well, we got to do the onboarding process. It takes a month. The routine. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to LA. And when y'all have a start date for me, I'll come back. And so I went to LA and I house sat
Oh,
and I watched the sunset into the ocean and I took the train to Santa Barbara and I just just had
you
an
didn't put your
amazing
life
time.
on pause.
Yeah, I saw
Uh-huh.
art. I ate good food. And then they gave me a start date and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I went back. And then when I got home, I said, "I want to run that back. I want to now from now on, I don't want a full-time job this time. I
Mm.
now want to work cuz I had been out of work 7 months at that point. Like I worked until
Mm.
April and then I didn't work again until October. So
Mm.
or whatever the math is.
Mhm.
And but like financially I was fine. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, then why was I trying to why? Why was I trying to be
Mm.
full time? Why was I trying to
Mhm.
work year round? I didn't
Mhm.
need to."
Mhm.
So it just shifted my priorities and that experience just made me like want to design my whole life differently. And so I was
Wow.
like from now on, I'm going to contract and I'm going to break and travel and then contract and then take a break and travel. So
Wow. So you had a transformative experience. So
I did.
I just want to just pause for a moment, right? Just to reflect some things. So one, you had an uncomfortable moment, which caused you to pause. And I think many times as Black women, we're so busy, we don't have time to pause. And sometimes when things happen, it makes us sit down and pause. So you paused. And then when you paused, you rested. And then some things were revealed to you. You were introduced to Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow, and you were like, wait a minute, there's another way to live.
Mhm.
Well, there's other options for me. And that's another thing. So we are exposed to other options. So then you start living your life and you're like, wait a minute, I kind of like living this way. I don't think and then you got exposed back to the other way of living. You're like, I don't think I like this. This is not really, this doesn't really align with me. And you were like, okay, let me go back to, let me go travel some more. And then you got a taste of that and you're like, yeah, I don't think I like this. So
Mhm.
it's like you're now creating the life that you want for yourself as opposed to contorting yourself and like trying to do things that you don't even really want to do in the first place.
I was like, "Why did you even want that other life?" Like, I don't
Yeah,
when I look back, I'm like, why did you wanna work at that place full time? Like,
yeah.
most people have to do performance reviews. I don't wanna do I don't wanna
Right,
do that.
right, right. And you know what was really key too, Celeste, that I heard you say, and this comes up a lot on my YouTube channel as well, is for us as Black women to look at our money, look at our finances, because we
Mhm,
often make assumptions. Oh, I can't afford it. I can't afford to leave. I can't afford to do this. I can't afford to do that. But oftentimes we don't look at the numbers. We don't even know, right? Because we're scared to look at the numbers or we make assumptions and all that kind of stuff. That's something we're going to talk about in the summit. You got to look at your numbers. You got to look at your numbers. So
you absolutely do.
you know how to like navigate. You know how to
Mhm.
navigate. So, okay. So then you were like, I'm going to do something different. And so you've been doing that from there
Since
on.
since 2023. Mhm,
Okay. 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 So for Black women now, okay, let me ask you this. Did
mhm.
you, did you encounter any resistance from people in your circle or other people when you told them, I don't want any more full-time work. I'm doing contract work.
I don't know. I mean, because I was kind of like a permanent contractor at that place for a while, and I've been a
Okay.
contractor for so long. I don't know that I
Mhm.
ever like made an announcement about
Okay.
that for anybody to react to, but
Okay.
I definitely heard it from like my mom when I was like, "Yeah, when this contract ends, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm not rushing back into the job market." And she's like, "You don't have as much as you think you have saved for retirement." And I was like, I don't even believe in traditional retirement. So, ha. Uh, like, like I don't and she's from a different generation, so it's hard to
Yeah.
explain, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm like I don't necessarily believe in like killing yourself to save up the big pile of money and live at the end. I
That
would
you
much
might not
rather
make it because you're like killing yourself trying to make it to the end.
yeah, I'm like I
Yeah.
do mini retire I'm retired now. Like what are you talking
Oh,
about? Like
okay.
I mean, like I do mini retirements. Like
Yeah.
our parents can't wrap their minds around that. But
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I heard that. Like, and
Ah.
I've heard them say, like, well, I've heard friends say, like, they used to say, like, that doesn't seem stable. But then they see me not work for 5 months and go to Cuba, and they're like, oh,
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
Wait a minute,
Maybe
she might be doing
can
something.
you tell us how you do it? Right? Like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now
Did your
no,
mom
they're all well, hold on. See, now
uh-huh.
they've all come around to it because now
Uh,
they've had to go on FMLA themselves and
oh,
all
'cause of
that other stuff.
stress.
And I'm like, I told you, get out of there.
Mhm.
So now,
Mhm.
now they're like, okay,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we get it. We get the concept
Right. Right. They're like, you're onto something, and that toxicity just adds up. It just adds up. It just adds up. So did your mom eventually come around?
No, I mean, I don't expect her to, but like
Okay.
also I was like, did I call you and ask you for some money? Like when you have no reason to be worried unless I tell you to be worried. Like you've seen me
Mhm.
supporting myself and living my life. I think,
Mhm.
our parents, they just want to protect us. Like no
They
matter
do.
how old we
They
are,
want to,
they
yeah.
just
They get worried, right? And
yeah,
they're thinking, like you said, from their generational perspective.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, but yeah, in my head, I was just like, I have not asked you for anything. Like I'm fine. Do you not see that
Yeah.
I'm fine? But
Yeah.
they just worry.
Yeah. 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 And I'm glad that you brought that up because I've been very vocal on my channel too that my mom did not. Oh, she was livid when I told her I was gonna leave my job. Like, what? Like it was just inconceivable. Like,
Mm.
why would you do that? Like, why would you leave a good government job, like
Mhm.
with good benefits? Like, what? And her perspective was, why would you let those people run you out? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Then it became like this power thing, like, how dare you let them run you out and that kind of thing. And for me, I was like, she doesn't quite understand. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, okay, I'm just not going to tell her anymore. I just got to do my own thing. I got to exit plan. I got to get out of here. But I can't tell her about it.
Yeah, I do have to watch some of the things that I tell her, like this, that I know she's not going to get. But
Hmm.
I was thinking about this earlier today.
Hmm.
I think like the civil rights generation, so much of that struggle was for um, equality, right? The right to
Hmm.
be there.
Hmm.
And then here we are
Hmm.
walking away from it, from this place
Ah.
that they fought to be. You know what I mean? To
Hmm.
be allowed in.
Hmm.
And, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. But my
Yeah.
mom also understands toxic jobs. My mom fired before they was fired. Like she she was like, I reached the age and I reached the number of years and I'm out of there. So
Wow.
I'm like, I know you get it. Like you get
Right.
not wanting to be in the toxicity. But she definitely said that to me when I was in a toxic job. Like the
Hmm.
next place might be worse. I heard you say that on one of your lives recently. Like
Hmm.
that's one of the things. Like the next place might be worse.
Hmm.
Okay, but then I can just leave that place if I get there and it's worse. That's what I would tell her.
We have
Like
options. We have options. Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
a tree.
yeah. Yeah, right. I'm not a tree. And, for us to have open conversations that sometimes people around us mean well for us, but sometimes they may say things to us that may not be helpful for us or there might be times that we not share with them everything that we're doing.
Mhm.
We might need to tell other people and maybe not tell everything that we're doing with certain people around us.
Yeah,
And
definitely,
that
definitely.
just might be what we do.
Yeah, and then like I said, sometimes like I think you mentioned maybe it was Friday. What's today? This is
Mhm,
Saturday.
mhm,
Yesterday, last night on
mhm,
Glenn
mhm,
Mazzini's channel
mhm,
about
mhm.
like, who you talk to. You have your friends you can talk to about certain things, and then other
Uh-huh.
things you maybe
Right.
don't share with that group and you save that for
Yes.
the community or whatever.
Yes.
So, I definitely have experienced some of that. But then like I said, it's just been funny watching people come around to my way of thinking. Like I'm like, "Oh, now you get it. Okay.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Now
Yes.
we
Yes.
can talk about it."
Now we can talk about it, right? And what's so interesting too, Celeste, is that now you become like an expert in this area. Before people were like, girl, I don't know about this. Now they're like, tell me more. Like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? So even the thing, because when I heard you on Marissa's channel, I was like, what? I didn't know that. Like the whole thing about benefits and I don't know people who work contract jobs could have benefits. Can you tell more about that? Because people watching this might be surprised too about benefits and retirement and how does that even work?
Yeah, so you again, because this is not independent contracting, so you are an employee of that.
Hmm.
Let's just use Manpower as an example. You're an
Hmm.
employee of Manpower for the duration of your 12-month contract.
Hmm.
If Manpower, when you sign up with them,
Hmm.
you ask them, hey, what benefits do you offer?
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the agencies have 401ks. Some of them have matches, some of them don't. The ones that have matches might not be as great as like your corporate, match or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of them have, dental and health insurance. And some of the other like the supplemental stuff, the life insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it comes out of your paycheck every just like it would if you were a full-time employee. Staffing agencies usually pay like weekly or some of them are monthly. But
Hmm.
you choose just like you elect make your elections at a full-time job. You make your elections. Um, the prices, I would say, are you're going to pay more if you're going to pay more for the health insurance as a contractor out of your pocket
Hmm.
than you are as a full-time employee.
Okay.
But uh that is not a reason to not pursue contract work if you have other reasons for like trying to get out of a toxic environment,
Hmm.
or if you're laid off, like that trade-off wouldn't bother me if I was like, oh my gosh, I need to find something.
Okay.
And then also what I have learned to do is to ask for a higher rate to help cover that higher health insurance cost, so that
Hmm.
I'm still bringing home. an amount of money that I need despite the health insurance costs being higher.
Mhm,
So
mhm, mhm.
ways around
And
that. And then there's always the marketplace.
okay,
If you got a
yeah,
spouse,
exactly.
the other workarounds that may be
Mhm,
available.
mhm. And generally, how much higher is it? Generally,
I don't know because I don't know what they are at
at the
like.
jobs?
It's been so long since I was in a full time job. I'm like, I don't know
Okay.
what they're charging now.
But it's not like,
But
it's not obscenely more, like Cobra
mm,
or something, like
oh no.
okay.
Okay, I can tell you like my last. Okay, yeah, my last Cobra was like $700 a month, which is crazy. But that means that my actual insurance when I was an employee was less than that. It was like four,
Mhm,
I think, something like
mhm,
that.
mhm.
So
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay, that's helpful, that's helpful.
Hmm.
So, if there's a Black woman watching right now, and either she's in a toxic job or she's got pushed out of the labor market, and she just feels like, "I don't know if contract work is for me. I'm not sure. Is it for
Yeah.
me? Is it not?" What would you say to her in terms of things that she could think about or consider in relation to contract work as an option, particularly as an exit strategy?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. One, I know one concern people might have is like, what is it going to look like on my resume? Is it a step
Hmm,
down? Is it,
hmm,
those sorts of things? I have not found that to be the case in my experience. I don't think that's the case for most people because, again, you're doing the same work as your
mhm,
peers are doing. It's
mhm,
just different on the back end as far as like who your
mhm,
paycheck comes from, right?
mhm,
Um, and in many ways, I think the fact that we as contractors move around a bit more often
mhm,
gives us more chances to build our networks,
mhm,
to add different skills and tools to our resume. Because
mhm,
this company over here used this, but I moved to this
mhm,
other company the following year and they used this, and now I can put
mhm,
both of those things on my resume. And now I
mhm,
have colleagues in my, connections in my network from this job and from this job.
mhm,
Um, I think adaptability is an undervalued skill and one that we really need at
mhm,
times like this. But I think being able to sort of self-direct your career or navigate your career in this way can kind of help build confidence, right? Because you're not dependent on one organization as your end all and be all for survival. Like I think that that's a positive in this current landscape.
mhm,
I think it can give you a lot of it can insulate you against a lot of the sort of office politics and toxicity,
mhm.
but allow you to still earn an income.
Right.
So, and it can help you sort of build your life the way you want, because it gives you just more flexibility. There might be a time in your life where you want more flexibility than before. Like maybe you got kids
Mhm,
going off to college and you want to spend
mhm,
some time, like anything, right?
mhm,
You can kind of use it for whatever you need it for.
mhm,
Um, yeah, I think there are a lot of positives to it.
mhm. So
Yeah.
with contract work, do you get, like, time off, like sick time and vacation
I
time?
It depends. I get your sick time is kind of dictated by the state,
Okay.
whether you get that or not. I do where I am.
Mhm.
Um, Paid time off depends. Some agencies offer it, some don't.
Okay.
Um, what I would say though that is a benefit is like trying to take time off
Mhm.
is not an issue because you don't work for those people, right? There's no manager telling you you can't.
Ah.
Um, you just inform your agency like I will be not here for these 5 days.
Mhm.
Um, End of conversation. So
Mhm.
that I do
Mhm.
like that. And you inform your client as well so they can like, plan around you or
Right,
whatever.
right, right. You're being
Um,
responsible.
but
Yeah.
just that like that there's just a sense of ownership that comes with full-time employment that is not
Mhm.
there
Mm.
with contract work, which I
Mhm.
enjoy.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yes, you can get paid time off. So it depends on the agency. That's one of the
Right.
things to have in the conversation
Mhm.
about what are your benefits.
Mhm.
That's one of the questions I would ask.
Okay. And are there certain personality types that you think might do better with types contract work?
Mm, I worked on a team that was all contractors and there were all kinds of different personality types. So I kind of want to say, not necessarily,
Okay.
but I think, if I'm not going to say you have to be an extrovert, but, you do have to be adaptable, right?
Mm.
Like you're going to be going into a new environment and having to
Mhm.
build relationships.
Mhm.
Um, and learn new ways of, how this company operates and those sorts of
Mhm.
things. So like,
Mhm.
being a fast learner, being adaptable. But at the same time, they're going to onboard you, they're going to train you, they're going to, a good organization will give you everything you need to be successful at the job. So like I wouldn't
Mhm.
worry too much about like having to be a specific type of person to be a
Okay.
contractor.
Okay. And then I just thought about something too. What are the dynamics between the well, generally the dynamics between employees and contractors? Are the employees generally accepting of contractors being there, or I'm just curious.
Yeah. So um it I would say I've never been mistreated because I was a contractor. I've never
Mhm.
had that experience.
Mhm.
I'm, embedded with the
Mhm.
team doing the regular tasks that everyone else
Mhm.
is doing.
Mhm.
There might be like some meetings that I can't go to if they're discussing like company financials or things like
Mhm.
that. There might
Mhm.
be some all hands or something that I don't get to go to.
Mhm.
Um, but like, no, I haven't had anyone interact with me differently because I was a contractor.
Okay.
Um, I don't want to speak for everyone's
Mhm.
experience,
Mhm.
but that has been mine.
Okay.
I've just been part of the team, doing the work. And, the client brought me in to get this work done. I would
Mhm.
assume that everyone will be helpful in, facilitating that. You pay for me to be here, right? So yeah, but I do know that's a concern that people have. And I think
Mhm.
again, they might be thinking about more of the temping situation.
Mhm.
When I'm here 6 months, like there's no reason for you to like treat me any differently because I'm here, right?
Mhm.
At this point,
Mhm.
you see me every day.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't experienced that.
Okay.
Um, I'm
Okay.
also like not looking to those people to like become my friends either. So like,
Right.
yeah.
Right,
But
right. You're here to do a job and
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, as one of the summit speakers, can you give like a high level overview of what you're going to be talking about at the virtual summit?
Yeah, so I will cover some of the like burning questions. Hopefully we covered a lot of them today. But like I just want to make sure that people understand like what the landscape is, but most importantly what I want the ladies to walk away with is the confidence to go out and be ready to pursue contract jobs. So I want to
Mhm,
make sure you have the information you need, the questions you need to ask the agency, what to do, where to go. So
mm,
you could just take that first step to explore this and see if it's for you.
mm. So, this video was good in terms of addressing the misconceptions, really talking about what contract work is. And at the summit, you'll get like the actual this is how you do it. This is
Hmm.
how you go out and get the contract work at these staffing agencies.
Yes.
Okay, very helpful. So, Celeste, can you please share about the services that you offer and how you could be contacted?
Yeah. So I offer contract job strategy sessions and Q&A sessions. So if you want to just ask me a bunch of questions about contracting and how it works, you can sign up for a Q&A session. If you know that this is for you or you're pretty sure that it's for you, but you're not sure like how to go about it, where to start, how to match your skills to, what might be out there in the market for contract jobs, then a contract strategy session is great for that. And then you can also find me here on YouTube at Reset with Celeste. And my website is resetwithceleste.com. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome, awesome. I seen a comment just came in. Honestly, the fear of being treated as a contractor is moot because your relationship with the organization is different from full-time employees in the sense it's purely transactional. Good point, good point. Okay, so everyone, again, hopefully you have a better understanding of what contract work is and that you're able to see that contract work might be an option in terms of your exit plan as you're either pivoting from a toxic job or pivoting from being pushed out of the labor market. If you need more information, because Celeste really schooled us today, if you want more information now about what do you need once you're going into a staffing agency to actually vet them and ask them questions so you can actually get contract work, then you need to come to the summit because Celeste is one of our phenomenal 28 speakers at the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, which is May 1st through the 8th. So again, we're going to talk.
You said you got us a whole week now.
No, May 1st to the 3rd. My bad. May 1st to the 3rd. And the virtual summit is for Black women who are either in toxic jobs or have been pushed out of the labor market, focusing on, thank you, Celeste, focus on ways to replace income, rather this be another job or creating your own business, ways to identify options for your benefits, insurance, and retirement, as well as creating multiple streams of income. Again, it's a privacy consideration. You will not be seen on camera, okay? Only summit speakers will be seen on camera. You also have the option of attending anonymously. Information in terms of this summit, registration is going across the screen. It is also in the description section of this video. And I want to share with you guys something. Celeste already saw it, but I want to share with you all something if you didn't see it before. Let me see if I can show it. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to share something with you. If you haven't already seen the trailer for the summit, I want to share it with you very quickly. Let me see if I can access it. Okay. It's like a quick 2-minute trailer that I want to show you. And just make sure that you share this with other Black women who maybe are stuck in a toxic job or have been pushed out of the labor market, okay? So let me share this right now.
Girl, these jobs are playing in our faces.
That was too quick. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Here we go here, and I'm going to here share screen. Okay, Celeste, when I pull it up, if you could just let me know if you can see it, okay? Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, and then here, here. You know what? I don't know if it's gonna let me. I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. Wait, let me try it again. Okay, there. Let me see.
Girl, these jobs are playing in our faces.
Okay, let me try one more time. And if not, then it's so weird. It's not letting me. Because I see it. Are you good with tech, Celeste?
Sort of.
Okay, so I have the video down here, right? And then it's down at the bottom of my screen. I see it here on my screen, but then I'm trying to share it with you. I'm trying to share it on StreamYard.
Yeah, I was going to say now, I wonder if it's because I'm on the stage. So if you want to,
you know what? I think I got it. I think I may have it.
Are playing in our faces, aren't they?
You see it?
And now with this new administration,
toxic jobs don't just ignore your brilliance. They make you question whether it was ever really real.
How does stress show up for you physically? Brain fog, headache, feeling on edge.
Thinking about who you were before the workplace. Maybe you were bold, soft, curious, creative.
Leaving a toxic job is not just about emotion. You need to be strategic about it.
You get to tell your own story. You get to start all over if you want to. Toddlers don't know limitations. Allow your inner child to play and create the world that this world told you was unimportant.
To shift the way in which you think about how money is earned and moving from scarcity to abundance mindset.
I make money easily and effortlessly.
So again, we're open and signs are revealed to us. We need to pay attention to that and be courageous enough to follow up with that.
Make sure you read your company policy.
Where can we get $1,500 a month? If it's bringing in over $1,500 a month, then we are financially free.
My freedom is in the desire, and my freedom is in the action. If you are waiting for someone to give you something that they benefit from keeping from you, is not going to happen.
Can you view yourself as accomplished without a job that says you're accomplished?
But if you are talking about liberating yourself, you're going to have to be number one. You're going to have to be not selfish, but self-full. You're going to have to get familiar with the idea that you will no longer tolerate toxicity in any shape or any form in your life.
Looks like this summit is about jobs and work and money, but this summit is about your dreams. This summit is about your life, a life beyond your wildest dreams.
The 2026 third annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women happening online May 1st through the 3rd. Registration is open.
And Black women, we do not panic, we pivot.
Oh, I love being a Black woman. If I gotta come through this experience again, please, Lord above, make me a Black woman. I don't want to be anything but.
Yes. Okay. So again, register. Again, tell Black women, other Black women about the virtual summit. And I want to just share with you also what the different ticket tiers look like. And then we will wind down for today. So let me see. Let me take this off the screen. Okay, I'll take off the screen. And then I'll just briefly share with you about the different ticket tiers, and then we will start winding down, everyone. Let me see. Okay, I see a comment. I was a contractor over a decade ago. For more than 10 years. I'm considering returning, but I'm concerned about not having consistent health insurance. How flexible are negotiations today for full-time jobs? What would you say, Celeste?
So health insurance, like either the agency offers it or they don't. So I would not say that that is a point of negotiation. I would say look for a role through an agency that for sure offers health insurance if that's a concern of yours. As far as negotiating for your rate as a contractor, yeah, you definitely have less flexibility when it's an employer's job market like it is now. But I still tell everybody that the rate that's posted is a starting point or a suggestion. Black women, if you don't ask, but for $1 more an hour or $2 more an hour, so you can meet in the middle and get $1 more an hour. Like, I definitely think that it's a sign that you value your own skills and your own self-worth, that you advocate for yourself and ask for more. It could be a little less more maybe in this environment if you're looking at the rates and you're seeing it's not really what you want, but definitely ask for something. And then, like I said, just vet for health insurance if that's something that you need. If you find that job at one agency that doesn't have insurance and you need to go find that job at another agency that offers it, then that's what you need to do. So hope that answers your question. And thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for responding to that. Okay, so this is our lineup of speakers.
Oh, right. I know her. Ravenna. I just looked at the username. I was like, oh wait, that's
Oh,
somebody
the person asking the question?
Yeah.
Okay. The video that I just showed you, those were the 2025 speakers. And so the different session titles that came up, those were the 2026 speaker titles. Okay. So this is the lineup of our 2026 speakers. Okay. So the summit is in 12 days. Oh my goodness. Okay, so these are our 2026 speakers. So you may be familiar with some of these speakers. I also wanted to mention that these three women are the three Black women who are the creators, the researchers of Pets a Threat. You may have heard me talk about Pets a Threat. Pets a Threat is when someone comes into the workplace or you're sought out in the workplace because of your outstanding work abilities and they just love you. So you're the pet. But then you start outshining people, and then there's a switch from you're the pet to you're the threat. And they sort of pushing you out. So you may not have had the language for it, but they have done the research on it. So we're going to have a fireside chat with them that Friday evening to kick off the summit. And then we're also going to have a sound bowl healing. Okay. So again, here are all of our wonderful speakers. You may recognize Adelia, Alicia Renese, Dr. Buchanan, Kamisha, Krishan Wright, my dear friend Colette Elizabeth from Lex to Legacy, Sandra, Mercedes, Samara, Dr. Roche, who's a financial psychologist in addition to a licensed clinical psychologist, Ngozi, the anti-HR lady, Halisi. So a lot of Black women that you've already seen or follow on YouTube or on social media. And also we've been featured in MSN. So there was an article in MSN about us. And I wanted to go over just the ticket tiers as well so that you can see what the different options are for you. And then again, we will start winding down. Okay. So the different ticket tiers, there's a standard pass where you come to the summit. And you'll have access to the replays for 1 week. Okay. So again, standard pass, you come to the summit and you have access to the replays for 1 week. The premium pass is that you come to the live, you have access to the replays for a whole year. So these are a lot of speakers. You have 28 speakers. So you may need some more time to digest what all the speakers have said. You might need to go back and review. So you have more time to review the information over a course of a year. And also you have access to 3 bonus sessions, which are by Zoom of 3 of the Black women speakers going over issues of finances. Okay. So that's the premium pass. And then the first year ever, we're launching the Liberation Accountability Circle. And this is for Black women who might need that extra support with your exit planning or your pivot planning or with creating multiple streams of income, where you'll be meeting with Marissa and I over the course of the year for 6 coaching accountability sessions. Okay. So that's the Liberation Accountability Circle. And this is limited to 20 slots for Black women. Okay. And you get everything that's involved in the other, right? So you get the live, the replay for a year, and then you also get the bonus sessions and then the 6 sessions, coaching sessions via Zoom. Okay. Okay. So Celeste, I'm going to give you the final word to share with the community.
I would share that I'm excited. I was just listening to the lineup of speakers and I'm just like, yeah, it's like all your favorite YouTubers, all your favorite, Black women from Instagram and elsewhere on social media. Like I'm thrilled. I'm going to be watching as an attendee, like just as excited, even though I have a session too. So I'm excited. I can't wait. Yeah, I would just say Black women, we have options. Like, just come and see what might be for you. It might be contract work. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not, maybe it's something else. Like I'm going to be listening and taking notes for other options for myself as well. So yeah, I hope you come and join us, but I hope that what I shared with you today at least opened your eyes to the possibilities That contract work might not be what you thought it was. Might be something for you worth exploring. So that's it.
Yeah. And I thank you, Celeste, for really sharing with us more about our options. I think it's really important for us to consider all possible options right now, particularly during this time, right? So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Also, make sure that you like this video. Make sure you share it with at least 2 other Black women. Again, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. Thank you, Celeste, for reminding me. It's May 1st through the 3rd, not the 8th. Okay. So May 1st through the 3rd, Marissa and I would love to see you there as a privacy consideration. Again, summit attendees will not be seen on camera. You have the option of attending anonymously. And also subscribe to my channel on YouTube, subscribe to Celeste's channel on YouTube. It is completely free. And I will see you all tomorrow I'll be live twice tomorrow. So I'll be on from Lack to Legacy. And then I'll also be live for my regular live as well. Okay. So I will see you on these YouTube streets. Okay. So everyone, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.